Hi, my name is Teresa Jurgens, and welcome to this episode 35 of the Innovation Process book. We have been reading through the Innovation Process book for some time now. You can get a copy of the Innovation Process book from Amazon by scanning that QR code. I recommend the paperback because there are so many figures and graphs in this book and in the tools that I think that is the most helpful for you. Episode 35 will cover chapter 19, phases and tools for lean product development. This is in part 4 of the book. In part 1, we covered waterfall or staged and gated processes. In part 2, we covered Agile and Scrum. Part 3, we covered WAGILE, a hybrid process that is between waterfall and Agile. So in this episode, we're going to be reading from pages 253 to 260, covering workshop 2 in the lean product development process, planning and risk management. I'd like to bring to your attention also that we have a course starting October 15th, 2025, a virtual course, 6 weeks, and you can scan that QR code that says register now and get registered for that course to customize your own processes and understand how to implement hybrid processes for product development in project management. Workshop 2, Planning and Risk Mitigation. The Planning and Risk Mitigation workshop follows Workshop 1. Based on the consumer insight data and competitive assessment from the market requirements activity, the Lean Product Development team generates a realistic project plan as shown in figure 19-7. Unlike other project management systems, Lean Product Development does not use predetermined schedules and budgets. Of course, historical information from similar projects completed in the recent past provides guidance to estimate the schedule and budget, but each product development project should use zero-based estimating. Zero-based estimating means that the cross-functional team generates a realistic schedule and budget from the bottom up. In this way, different experience levels and necessary learning are built into the project. Lessons learned from other projects are useful for team members to understand where too much or too little time was incorporated. But as individuals and as a team, they must determine the sequence and timeline of activities to deliver a new product to the marketplace within the window of opportunity. Note that if a project schedule cannot meet an expected market launch window, the chief engineer must make a recommendation for the project to either be canceled or modified. Schedule is typically one of the cardinal project constraints. Understanding and managing risk is a critical element for product team to understand and to meet project deliverables. Output from Workshop 2 includes a risk matrix and mitigation steps, which will be updated throughout the remaining project lifecycle. Participants in the planning and risk mitigation workshop must be experienced in their jobs to create realistic zero-based estimates while not infecting the schedule with optimism bias. Workshop 2 participants. In addition to the core product development team, several subject matter experts are invited to the planning and risk mitigation workshops. Some of these people may not have participated in the market requirements workshop and will need a quick reminder of ground rules. No cell phones or laptops except to call up relevant project data. The chief engineer can summarize the vision for the product, and the program manager or facilitator will outline the day's activities. An example agenda for this workshop is shown in figure 19-8. Many companies today have specialized functions that will help with the project risk assessment. These include risk managers, reliability engineers, internet security, regulatory, and legal. While keeping the group small enough to make decisions and generate working documents, subject matter experts or SMEs experienced in risk mitigation should be invited to Workshop 2. If for some reason finance is not serving a role on the core team, this function must be represented to discuss investment risk. Finally, in today's world, supply chain often represents a significant risk for raw material delivery and distribution of finished products. If these concerns impact the new product development project, someone with expertise in supply chain, logistics, and/or distribution should be invited to the session. In some cases, vendors and suppliers are included in all or part of the planning and risk management workshop. Vendors and suppliers will be working with the new product development team to design components for the new product. Their information, especially their view of schedule and perspective on risk analysis, can be extremely valuable in generating realistic project estimates. Note that the agenda for Workshop 2 does not automatically include a management debrief. At this point, the project is managed by exception from the agreed upon constraints. However, if the team is aware of a specific high-risk element for the project or has challenges to meet a predetermined product launch schedule, a short 15-minute management debrief at the conclusion of the workshop might be of merit. Tools for planning and risk management. Mature organizations often have sophisticated project scheduling tools in place. One of my client companies used spreadsheet templates with over 200 rows of data to prescribe each and every functional activity on a daily timeline. A typical new product development project at the company required R&D and lasted over 3 years. Project managers were held accountable to the daily schedule, which directly impacted their annual bonus pay. Unfortunately, while we strive for predictability in the flow of new product development project work, each task is different for every project and cannot be prescribed to such an excruciating level of detail. Missing a scheduled product delivery is more likely a fate of circumstance and should not be punished by monetary means. Lean new product development stresses learning from errors and mistakes to improve future efforts. In lean new product development, the chief engineer is the arbiter for project trade-off decisions. Chief engineers manage the tension between a perfect schedule and potential project risks. We have found that using rolling wave planning reduces wastes of time and recycle in scheduling, while also allowing team members autonomy to complete tasks by applying their functional expertise. Significant schedule risks should be discussed and added to the simplified QFD and risk matrix as needed. Risk matrix. Risk management is a process of identifying, evaluating, and mitigating business risk. Designing and developing new products is inherently uncertain, as we discussed back with Figure 2-1. A risk management process guides the project team and stakeholders in balancing uncertainties against relative and relevant project constraints. The cadence and flow of work in lean product development, along with the focus on reducing waste and rework, helps to manage risks at a fundamental level. A corporation's strategic approach to new product development is an indication of risk tolerance by senior executives. You can read more about the risk management process for innovation in Chapter 7 of the New Product Development Certification Exam Prep Book. Risk management process. A typical risk management process is shown here in Figure 19-9. Risk management involves identifying risks, qualitative and quantitative risk assessments, and preparing risk responses. Impacts of risk are minimized when uncertainties are identified and addressed earlier rather than later in an innovation project. As development of the new product advances, risks become more complex and expensive to mitigate. However, in lean product development, removing all risk balanced against the goal of flexibility and not locking design standards until as late as possible. Freezing the design too early can create insurmountable technical, market, or manufacturing challenges. Qualitative risk assessment. Qualitative risk assessments are used to help prioritize risks identified during lean workshops and in the general course of new product development work. Product and process risks are categorized by severity of impact and probability of occurrence, as shown in Figure 19-10. Events that are highly likely to occur with a severe impact in the upper right-hand corner of Figure 19-10 are eliminated by changing the product priorities and properties or the project requirements. Project variables are reassessed to ensure risks with highly negative results do not occur. Chief engineers work with specialty functions to manage new product trade-offs between risk and cost. Typically, the majority of risks for which the group needs to create mitigation plans fall within the center diagonal of Figure 19-10. These are items that have a medium to high probability of occurring with moderate impact or have a medium to high severity prediction coupled with moderate likelihood of occurrence. Not all risks will be fully evaluated during the workshop. However, a mitigation plan for the highest priority risk must be established as an outcome of the Lean Product Development Workshop, taking advantage of the assembled group's expertise. Quantitative risk assessment. Some of the risk mitigation planning will occur outside of the workshop. However, to the extent possible, the highest priority risks should be ranked and addressed using the collective knowledge of the workshop participants. To facilitate prioritization of risks, the qualitative risk assessment is converted to a quantitative risk assessment by assigning monetary values to the outcome or impact. Multiplied by the probability of occurrence, these values yield numbers that can be compared and ranked to determine the most important risks to address upfront and throughout the remainder of the project. For instance, imagine risk ABC has an estimated impact of $500,000 and a probability of 5%. Risk XYZ, on the other hand, has an impact of $50,000 and is probably 90% likely to occur. Thus, we would prioritize developing a risk management plan for risk XYZ, potential impact of $45,000, over risk ABC with a potential impact of just $25,000. Lean product development teams often track project risks on the team dashboard, adding the risk matrix of Figure 19-10 to the Scrum board. When the risk is no longer a concern, such as if a trigger event did not happen and cannot happen in the future, then the risk is removed. When a contingency schedule or budget item is associated with a risk, the contingency is also eliminated when the trigger event is passed and the risk does not come to light. Rolling wave planning. Much of the waste and waterfall project management occurs because detailed plans are created for the entire project lifecycle upfront. With new product development work, initially there are a lot of unknowns. When more information is gathered, the previously determined plans must be reworked. Rework is a fundamental waste in a lean system. Scheduling in lean new product development uses rolling wave planning. Rolling wave planning is an iterative technique that generates detailed plans for the near term, but future work is planned only at a high level. As knowledge and learning grow, the future plans are detailed further. An example of rolling wave planning from a lean product development workshop is shown in Figure 19-11. The project is expected to last 6 months, shown across the top, and several core functions are identified as rows. Activities in the first month are planned in detail, while those in the second and third months are planned at a higher level. Important milestones are noted for the final time frame of the project. During the planning and risk management workshop, different colored sticky notes with a task description or learning activity are placed at the intersection of the responsible function and the required completion date. Arrows may link the responsible function with those needed for assistance to complete the task. Figure 1911 presents a very simple example. In practice, time blocks are listed as weeks instead of months, and individual tasks are posted only for the short term. Ultimately, the rolling wave plan integrates with the project schedule and is updated during stand-up meetings. An individual sub-team Scrum board or Kanban board may be linked to a task or learning event shown as dark colored sticky notes in the figure. Planning poker. Traditional arguments about exact milestone dates and costs can bog down a team during lean product development workshops. Instead of forcing perfection in the schedule or budget, principles of lean encourage good estimates. The chief engineer relies on the expertise of the core team members to accomplish the agreed upon work in the agreed upon timeframes. Combined with rolling wave planning and the burn down chart, planning poker is an appropriate technique to build schedule and budget estimates for a lean product development project. Planning poker was first described in Chapter 9. Estimates resulting from planning poker are relative to other project tasks and historical data. So instead of developing a very detailed upfront schedule, planning poker yields information at an actionable level for a lean product development project at this stage. Thank you for joining me for episode 35. In our next episode, we will cover workshop 3, which talks about prototyping and engineering. This is all found in Chapter 19, Phases and Tools in Lean New Product Development, in the Innovation Process book. Again, get your copy at Amazon with that QR code and join the class starting October 15th by scanning the QR code that says register now. We will talk in 6 weeks about each of the processes in detail and customize your organization's processes to fit the needs of your organization from a hybrid process standpoint. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.